Welcome to Seele Food. Seele is the German word for soul, so soul food, but Seele food. This podcast is in conjunction with Seele Magazine, an online magazine bridging faith, cultures, and culture. I'm Allie Portee, an American Southern girl who travels and loves talking to people. I'm bringing you conversations from global movers and shakers from somewhere in the world. From these conversations, hopefully you'll be inspired to move and shake too. Thanks for spending time with me today. I hope you get fed, so let's begin. I had a recent chat with Tommy Winn, a guy that I met last month at the Country to Country Music Festival, and we talked about how faith, Christian faith, and country music go hand in hand. We had a great chat recently, and I hope that you're enlightened, inspired, and that you take away something from this interview because there is a connection between country music and the Christian faith. And I think it's also a reason why country music artists are so down to earth and kind. They're coming from a Christian environment. Most are coming from that Bible Belt region in the United States, grew up in church, were taught how to respect people, were taught how to treat people. And it's something that's quite amazing, the similarity that runs through the heart of the genre of country music. So enjoy this chat that I have with Tommy Winn. He is a reporter for UK Country News, and he resides in the UK, spreading the awesomeness of country music. So Tommy, thank you so much for being able to do this interview with Seele Magazine.
Pleasure, absolute pleasure. No, I'm really excited to talk to you.
Yeah, so you're a country music fan, and you've been one since childhood, correct? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, as long as I can remember, country music's been a big part of my life because it was a part of my parents' lives and older brothers. So yeah, it's just been that cult, the music and kind of the country culture. We grew up watching films, Clint Eastwood films and John Wayne films. So yeah, it's always been a part of my life.
And that's so surprising for me to hear. I guess this is kind of a stereotype that Americans have, that country music has been in the UK for a while. It's not even with C2C Country Music Festival that has, I think it started in 2013 in the UK. It's been there way before 2013.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, country music and country music culture has been part of some people's lives since it has been part of people's lives in America.
Okay.
I don't have any doubt of that because my dad talks about buying Johnny Cash records, buying Chris Christopherson records, and so. But I just don't I don't think that was the norm for everyone. Like when the rock and roll boom came over to the UK in the late 50s and 60s. Country music came as well, but there was only probably a smaller proportion of people who really hooked onto that. But for those that did, like my dad as the example, it was as big a genre of music in his life as rock and roll was. But I just don't think it kind of impacted the same number of people, if that makes sense.
I see. Okay, so we're going to be talking a little bit about faith and country music, and it's a fascinating topic that you brought up. And I want to start with the same question I asked Jimmy Allen on the last day to C2C this year. I've got a friend who works in the accounting department at the O2, and he and his colleagues love the country music artists because when the artists have to turn in their receipts and everything, it's not always an easy thing to get receipts, cooperation from the artists, but they say that the country music artists are the most humble kind. They get everything in, but the rap crowd and the rock crowd can be arrogant, don't want to turn in receipts. Why do you think that is?
So turning in receipts to where?
To the O2. So
okay.
The artists have to turn in receipts and things to the O2 accounting department, and the country music artists are more, easier to work with.
Sure. Well, I mean, I guess I can't speak sort of, on an individual artist to artist basis. But if we're talking, I mean, we both know that Jimmy is a Christian, so he's holding himself to a set of values where he wants to there's a saying that I really like, and it's don't go to witness as you go. And I think that's something that, as a Christian, I think that's one of the best things we can do. It's just, be that reflection of Christ in kind of everything we do. So that means, be kind, be polite, be thoughtful, be honest, have integrity. And I think, from that point about handing over the receipts in a manner which Christians in country music do. I think that kind of just goes hand in hand with how we like to how our lifestyle we want to be reflected in our Christian values.
Yes, and I guess you would agree that country music artists at least have a strong awareness of God, maybe even if some of them don't go to church or are surrounded in a Christian community now, that maybe because of their upbringing, they've got a stronger awareness of God maybe than other genres, or is that a bit too far? Or
yeah, definitely. I mean, that's definitely something which you just see. I don't know, if it is specifically the country artists, there are more Christians, there are more Christian country artists, but the ones that I see certainly seem to be happy to talk about it, happy to write about it, happy to reference it, on their Instagram. Carly Pitts, as an example, I asked the question when we were both in the press room. I asked the question to Carly, how does faith influence her and her music? And I only asked that because it says that she's a Christian on her Instagram bio. And no, I don't think whether other artists in different genres are Christians or not. It certainly seems like in country music, it's more than okay to talk about your faith, through your music, and have your lifestyle and your music kind of go hand in hand together, and I think that's great. As a Christian, as a country fan, and as a country artist, I'm so glad that I can just be myself across all three of those things, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. So you propose this theme to me, faith and country music, and why they go hand in hand. So tell me, why do you think there's a comparison, a parallel, a similarity between country music and faith, Christianity?
Yeah. Well, I think going back, and I guess if we take it back to country in its early stages, from what I've read and learned, it kind of goes back to the sort of early 1900s, kind of the mountain music, and that then sort of went into people like Jimmy Rogers. If we're sort of taking a mainstream look of it, Jimmy Rogers into people like Hank Williams, into Johnny Cash. I think faith was always, and especially in that part of America, was just an important place in, culturally in people's lives. And I think gospel music and country music, they cross over a lot. You would find people like, I use Johnny Cash as an example. He'd be just as comfortable releasing, a country album as he would a gospel album. And sometimes there'd be country songs on his gospel album, there'd be gospel songs on his country album. So the two genres really just fitted in with each other. and again, country music is we use the phrase, three chords and the truth. Well, if you're a Christian and you're writing songs, then you're going to write about what you know. And country is often just stories and poems and people's feelings and what's important to them in their life, and if faith is something that's important to you, it's a genre of music where that can come out in and be embraced, I think.
How I think somebody would or people would argue, like my father, the part of country music that's about being down and drinking and she left me, and that whiskey lullaby comes to mind from Brad Paisley and Alison Krauss. That's not Christian, to be down and out in the blues. Or would you argue the opposite? But I've heard many people say, oh yeah, that's a negative part of country music, the blues, down and out, drinking.
Yeah. I don't know. I would put forward an opinion that's real life, and I think as a Christian, I don't want people to think that I don't have any problems, because man, I could give you a list of my problems just because I'm a Christian. I mean, if we quoting a little bit of scripture, in this world you will have trouble. I forget which gospel I'm quoting from there, but being a Christian doesn't exempt from having hard times. And I know for me personally, when I write, if I write about some of my struggles, it's a bit of a therapy, actually. I actually love writing down some of my hard times and kind of negative feelings and thoughts that I'm having about myself. I actually I actually find it helps. So I actually think some of those songs are real, are just honest about the way that we are as what we feel as human beings. Just because you're a Christian, that doesn't mean that you're exempt from that.
And like you were saying before, country music is three chords and the truth. And when we go through heartbreak at the beginning, it's not pretty. It's a lot of pain there. And I guess as long as you don't stay there, the Lord doesn't want us to stay in the pain and in the drinking and in the down and out. But it's what makes country music also relatable, because then people can identify with that pain, and it's coming out in great music.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. If you're writing a song about drinking and pain, if you're still writing those songs 5 years later, then I think I think there's a bit of an issue there. As with anything, just if forget music. If we're feeling in that place that we're down and depressed, and then a few years later we're still going through the same issues, then that's an area of our lives that that needs attention, because no one wants to be stuck in those places, and we want to move on to a place of positivity, and obviously that's what God wants for our lives as well.
Yes. It seems that places like the UK, Australia, bits of it isn't as strong in Christianity, that it's becoming more secular. Would you say in the UK that country music artists, like when the arena is full at C2C, can identify with the faith part of country music when the artists mention going to church on Sunday, or faith, that UK country music artists can identify?
My heart tells me no. I mean, the UK is still a very secular. I think a recent government survey said less than 10% of people go to church on a Sunday. In the UK. So I think that stat alone sort of shows that faith is not a huge part of most people's lives in the UK. Whether on the inside, that makes people think and just ponder, because you never know what people are thinking and feeling in their quiet moments.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy to talk openly about my faith and what I believe, but 10 years ago I was still a Christian, but I wasn't being very public about it, because I was worried what people may think of me, and I wasn't that comfortable with who I was kind of anyway. So my hope is that when people do stand up and they talk about God, through their music,
mm-hmm.
That it is making people think.
Yeah.
As long as that's what the artists are doing, there isn't any point going to. And I'm not suggesting anyone does this, but if you're a Christian country artist and you're up there kind of preaching through your music, I don't think you could. That isn't the way to do it.
Sure.
Talk about God, talk about Jesus, and how you feel about them and what they've done in your lives. But I think in a secular environment like a C2C, certainly don't go to preach, because that's not going to work.
Sure. Last question. How has country music strengthened or propelled or helped your faith?
That's a good question. I suppose having been able to write down my thoughts and feelings about my faith through music and into a genre that I really love and care about, has just kind of brought all these things together and into one place, and that strengthens my faith. It strengthens my love of country music. It just it's interesting how it's all come together, kind of at this point where country music is. I think the next 10 years are going to be so significant in the UK for this genre. I think we may look at the 20s, the new 20s, as the genre, as the decade. Like we kind of look back and 50s was rock and roll, 60s was kind of the British bands, 70s was and 80s, and I think the 20s will be the genre where the UK looks back in 30 years and go, oh, that was the country decade in the UK.
Wow.
I hope so. I hope so, and I think it will. Maybe not the very early 20s, but I think I think in in that decade we're going to see the biggest movement that the UK has ever had towards country music being popular and mainstream.
That's awesome. And maybe even other parts of Europe too, with C2C going to Berlin and France having radio stations, and Italy as well. I can imagine seeing the Italians rocking out to country music. But
I hope so.
Yeah, because it's for me it's home country music, and it's perspective, because being around other industries, politics or fashion, there's snootiness and selfishness and arrogance. Not that you may not find that in country music, but when I go to C2C every year or country music festivals, people are down to earth kind.
Yeah.
And it feels like home. So is there anything else you'd like to say about the importance of country music and faith?
I guess I'm just glad that it is a genre where people can write openly about their faith, because if there's anybody who is maybe not a Christian or just exploring their faith, it's something that people can kind of connect to and learn more about without having to say, right, I need to go, I have to go to church to learn about God, or I have to do, read the Bible, because that's a huge step for some people. So if they can learn more through country music, then wow, what a great service country music is providing for Christianity, I guess.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Well, this has been a nice chat, and it's a very interesting topic that definitely goes hand in hand.
Yeah, and, I think so.
Yeah, hopefully other people will find it inspiring as well.
Yeah, I hope so.
Well, thank you so much, Tommy, for your time.
No worries at all. Thank you.
Of course. I hope you enjoyed this podcast conversation and that it fed you in some way to pursue your own dreams. Be sure to subscribe to Zayla Mag at zaylamag.com, SEELEMAG.com, where you'll be automatically entered to win our giveaways. And follow us on Instagram at Zayla Magazine, SEELE Magazine. Till next time.